A real insurrection in Minnesota. Stop screwing around with this, Trump and the Trump team. A push to make daylight savings time permanent. Is it here we go again, or are they serious this time? Yeah, we'll find out. And Winnie the Pooh and World War One. Interesting story you probably haven't heard of. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Tuesday, and yes, I've still got this flu bug, virus, whatever crap that's going around. I'm stuffy, my nose is running, I've been coughing like a banshee. It's just unbelievable. Honest, I don't know how long I'm going to last this morning, so bear with me, okay? All right. Why are we hearing? Oh, that's why. Okay, let's get rid of that. All right. Anyway, we're live. We're here on Rumble. Hello, good morning. Nice to have you along for the ride. Thank you for popping in. And you may be watching us also. We upload a recording of the show to X and YouTube after we're done with our live show. Same thing. And also, we suck out the audio and we create a podcast, and that goes out to Spotify and iTunes, Apple iTunes, all the different podcast platforms. You'll find us there if you want to take us along, maybe listen as opposed to watching, whether you're driving in the car, taking the kids to school, or whatever it may be. All right, so we got all that and more. It's all coming up. And before we get to that, we're going to tell you about Patriot Mobile because they deserve your attention. Patriot Mobile has been around for more than 10 years, and they have been America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They're right there with us in this fight. Patriot Mobile's been a great supporter of this show. They are the only cell phone service provider that's actually right there on the front lines defending our freedoms. And as you saw with that stunt that they pulled at the church service on Sunday, we need our freedoms, especially our freedom of religion, defended more than ever. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage across all three major networks, and that means you get exactly the same coverage you have right now, and you don't fund the left and companies that disagree with the things you and I believe in. They are a Christian conservative company. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you are dealing with a company that is defending free speech, religious freedom, First and Second Amendment, military, our first responders. They are all in right there with us in this fight. And just don't be fooled by all these other patriotic ads that say, oh, we're pro America, all this crap. Patriot Mobile is the one that puts their money where their mouth is. You keep your phone, you keep your phone number. Their customer service is 100% US based, and they are there to help you, not to sell you a program you don't need. Even if you're under contract with another cell phone service provider, they have programs which can get you out of it. So check them out at least. PatriotMobile.com/J. The link is in our show notes. Go over there, get signed up, and if you use our link, you will get a month free. Your first month's bill is on me because you used that link to sign up, and thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks, Patriot Mobile. We love having you along for the ride here. Good morning, Danny. Please, no skipping today. I'm trying a little bit of an experiment today, so we shall see because I have not exactly had the best of luck with our broadcast. We'll find out. We'll see what happens. I had to, because of what we call lag, that means I say it live here, and before it comes out over there, there's a delay. Of course, it's the internet. Everything is delayed. But in this case, the delay has been insane. It has been absolutely unforgiving. And in fact, sometimes the delay gets so bad, like yesterday, if I turn the stream off here, I'm done broadcasting, I hit the end stream button. If it's still lagging back there by 20 minutes, half an hour, it cuts off the stream. Done. So the live one, it cuts off before the show ended. I have to sit here and just let this black screen run. In fact, you look at the end of yesterday's program, there is about a half an hour of black screen. And that's because I had to do that or it would never have uploaded the whole show. It's a nightmare. I don't know. I've done everything I can for the settings. I work directly with Rumble on trying to fix stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm trying a couple different methods. This is a new one today. We'll see how it works. Danny, you feeling okay? Your voice sounds different, like maybe some congestion or something. You sound sick. Yeah, you must have got here just a little past the opening of the show because I said right in the front, I'm still being hit by this flu, this bug. You'll hear my partner coughing in the background. That sounds like me half the time. Excuse me, coughing, runny nose, dribbling all over the place, bit of a headache now and then. It's just, oh man, unforgiving, hard to sleep. So yeah, like I said, I don't even know how far I'm going to get through this morning's show, but we will try. We'll see. I'm taking here we use Panadol as opposed to Tylenol. Aspirin is hardly ever used for anything, which is a shame. It's even hard to find. I love aspirin. I usually use that, but they have a thing here called Panadol soluble. It's like a one of those effervescent tablets that you drop in the water and it bubbles up. For some reason, that maybe it just sucks into your system faster, but that does seem to relieve some of the symptoms. All right, enough about Jay getting sick, okay? I'm sure you're not all really that interested. What you ought to be interested in is what is happening in Minnesota right now. And folks, this is an actual, real, authentic insurrection. This is way different from the January 6th events. And Trump and his team have to start treating it like one. We, the American people, again, witnessing Minneapolis descend into absolute utter chaos. Left-wing militants are holding that city hostage, obstructing law enforcement primarily on behalf of illegal aliens. In many cases, most cases, criminal illegal aliens. Unbelievable. They have culturally decimated that city. And among the rioting, the destruction, vehicles, property, ICE and other law enforcement, suspected Latin Kings gang member allegedly stole an M16A1 rifle and a suppressor from a Federal Bureau of Investigation vehicle. There's videotape. If I can find it, I'll play it for you. Federal agents forced to abandon their scene because of this civil unrest that was going on, basically a riot. According to the Department of Justice, there is a clear, bright line between peaceful protest and what is nothing less than just lawless destruction. Stealing, damaging, destroying federal property, all of which puts our communities in danger. And you think these people care about that? No, they don't. Think they care about any First Amendment rights? Because they're certainly not exercising theirs. That's not what the First Amendment was meant for. ATF, DEA, all of the federal, state, local law enforcement allies, FBI Minneapolis continues to make sure the public is safe, and those people engaging in the violence and the destruction going to be identified and going to face justice. Here is the video of these asses actually, again, the FBI has left the area because it was too dangerous, because of these insurrectionists. So what do? They break into the car and they steal an M16. Watch this.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
There's some bullets.
There's some bullets. Freaking idiots. Unbelievable.
tourniquet there.
Did he get?
Hey, don't film that.
This, by the way, from Nick Sorta, the guy who we showed you yesterday got his camera stolen. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Man. This is not peaceful protesting, obviously. This is an insurrection, my friends, nothing short. Not like that fake one, January 6th, back in 2021. This one, real violence, real obstruction of official proceedings, real consequences, and obviously actual intent. This one has actual institutional support from members of Congress, governors, mayors, possibly even state and local police officers in some cases. It's unclear whether those officers are simply being held hostage by their political leadership, their bosses. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt suggested Thursday Minneapolis and other large major American cities have been overrun before. Hard to trust that the tools currently at the disposal of law enforcement are enough to reestablish order and punish the militants using violence who are obstructing federal law enforcement operations. Look, if you don't have the tools necessary, the question is then, what is taking so long? How much worse does it have to get in Minneapolis before Trump shuts down this lawlessness? And you know he could do it. He has the ability. It cannot get much worse. He's considered using the Insurrection Act, Trump has. Seems to target the institutional support for the agitators. He said if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that one great state. Well, Mr. Trump, what the are you waiting for? How much more do you have to see? They just stole an M16 out of the back of an FBI vehicle. You think maybe that's gone far enough? Friday, Trump seemed to add to the rioters themselves to the group of insurrectionists. On social media, he said, in Minnesota, the troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists are in many cases highly paid professionals. Governor and a mayor don't know what to do. They have lost total control. They're currently being rendered useless. If and when I'm forced to act, it will be solved quickly and effectively. Yes, Danny, exactly. Stop threatening, or we are going to get, your base is going to get to a point where we're not going to believe you anymore. Stop with the bullshit and do something about it. You said right there you have the ability. Well, use it. It's not time. It's way past time. Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska said the situation in Minneapolis is similar to the George Floyd riots. Suggested the similarities mean Trump should not invoke the Insurrection Act. Oh, please. The reality is exactly the opposite. You can see that. It's right there in the videos. They play all day on X, one after the other after the other. If the insurrection had been invoked back in 2020, we would not have to weather these city-destroying riots every couple of years. But it wasn't, so we do. You'd think the federal government might have learned that lesson, but apparently not. President Trump, what are you waiting for? What more do you need to see before you crack down on these militants? There is no doubt, none, this is an insurrection. It needs to be put down fast and now. You throw around that word insurrection. The last 5 years, heard nothing but that bullshit. It keeps going on there. And it's lost its actual meaning. If there ever was an opportunity to display the difference between January 6th riots and the actual insurrection, Minneapolis is showing it to you right there in your face. Those protests January 6th nowhere near turned as violent or destructive as these actions going on in Minneapolis. To the extent there was any violence, it was mostly vandalism, which is unacceptable, which is wrong, but it's not violence in the purest form of the word. Do it. Do it now. And why Minneapolis? Why is that constantly the powder keg? Constantly on the brink of civil war? Well, as Trump suggests, the left-wing protests, the riots, the militant action, that violence, it's not organic. And cities like Minneapolis give political and legal cover to these henchmen. A lot of people on the left are going to say ICE is more violent than former President Barack Obama's ICE, pointing out there were very few protests, riots, dust-ups with the local police. And to a lot of American memories, that seems to ring true. But that is because the far-left cities that house the most illegal aliens actually worked with the Obama administration to help ICE deport goals. And now those same cities are doing everything they can to fight against it. That's why. Trump's ICE isn't more violent. It is fighting a two-front war. Obama's ICE did not have to fight that kind of a war. Trump's ICE is fighting illegal aliens and these militant leftists all at the same time. It's got to stop. And the one person who can do that is sitting in that Oval Office. And Trump, you better get off your ass and take care of this problem. Many, many people are going to die if you do not do something. Obviously, absolutely nothing they're doing is fixing the problem there. It's time. In fact, it's way past time. Now, I made reference to, and in fact, yesterday we covered this ridiculousness that happened at the church, their live streaming protests from that idiot moron, Don Lemon. Well, Mr. Lemon might have just stepped in a whole rack of crap he's not going to be able to cleanly get out of. The Ku Klux Klan Act. The DOJ is threatening, and look, that's the headline, okay? I'm tired of seeing these headlines. I don't want to see that the DOJ is threatening to do something. Freaking do it. Stop threatening. That means abso-freaking-lutely nothing. Oh, they're threatening. Don Lemon with the 1871 law over church protest live stream. Why are you threatening? Fucking do something. Department of Justice apparently is planning to pursue federal charges after that disruption at City's Church in St. Paul. Anti-ICE activists, if you didn't hear the story, you must have because it's been all over the news, interrupted a worship service. Assistant AG Harmit Dillon threatened the use of the Ku Klux Klan Act. Unbelievable. And of course, this moron Lemon comes out late Sunday night and says, I was just covering it as an independent journalist. I wasn't involved. Bullshit. There's video of you out in the parking lot with the organizers way before anything happened or they ever set foot in that church. So don't give me that crap. Protesters enter the sanctuary during the service to scream and yell their little blue-haired, nose-piercing heads off about ICE operations in the state. And they were accusing the pastor of collaborating with ICE. Lemon streamed part of the event, a lot of the event. Well, AG Harmit Dillon posted, a house of worship is not a public forum for your protest. It is a space protected from exactly the kind of acts by federal criminal and civil laws, nor does the First Amendment protect your pseudo-journalism of disrupting a prayer service. And she ends with, you are on notice. Again, screw that. What? You are on notice. Stop threatening. Do something. Unbelievable. Yeah, this is the moron trying to wiggle his way out now that he realizes he's in too deep.
MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true. So let me just make it clear, because this assistant attorney general, I don't know, gosh, what's her name? It's something Hammett, Dillon or whatever. So I had no affiliation to that organization. I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there. We were there chronicling protests. Once the protest started in the church, we did an act of journalism, which was report on it and talk to the people who were involved, which included the pastor, members of the church, and members of the organization. That's it. It's called journalism.
No, moron, it's called taking part. We saw the whole video. You can't wiggle your way out of it. It don't work that way. And to the DOJ and the Attorney General, stop threatening. Do something. We are tired of waiting. Lost your mind. All right. I need to break away from this whole insanity for a minute and talk about something I really care about. Daylight savings time. Give me a minute to clear things up here. Well, in the words of J. Sheldon, here we go again. Congress, a big yawn, has renewed their bipartisan push to make daylight savings time permanent. Now, I'm confused. Answer me in the chat if you know, Danny, Marilyn, whoever. Are we currently on daylight savings time? Or in the spring when we set the clocks back, is that daylight savings time? Because honestly, I don't know. I know Eastern Standard Time and then daylight savings time, I don't know which one it is. Because what I'm in favor of is turn the clocks back an hour where they were normally and frickin' leave them there. Stop screwing with things. I've been screaming about this forever. But no. Every year somebody comes out with some kind of bipartisan bill to keep the time change and set it and not do any front, back, forward, behind, whatever. Well, they're doing it again, and just like in the past, I don't believe them. Lawmakers once again advancing legislation which would eliminate the twice yearly clock changes by making daylight savings time the permanent standard across all of the United States. Now, I know we're not there yet, and it starts in spring, but you mean in spring when we set the clocks back, that will then be daylight savings time? We're not in it now? Okay. The Sunshine Protection Act. How nice they call it something sweet. Reintroduced in the 119th Congress, H.R. 139, House of Rep. Vern Buchanan, Republican from Florida, and S-29 in the Senate by Senator Rick Scott, Republican from Florida. Locking the clocks on daylight savings time year-round and ending the annual spring forward in March and fall back in November. Spring, yes, I know spring ahead, fall back. What I'm asking is, there is a time when the clock is either sprung ahead or fallen back that is called daylight savings time. Is that the winter time? Like where we are right now? Or is daylight savings time the summertime, where we will be? What is daylight savings time? That's what I'm confused about. I know it sounds like a simple thing, but I am a bear of very little brain. Supporters say this change would enhance evening daylight in winter, reduce sleep disruptions and time shifts, improve public safety, boost economic activity because of extended outdoor hours. Opponents include health experts, lawmakers, who warn that darker winter mornings could disrupt circadian rhythms. This bill introduced early this month a year ago, remains in committee, so the likelihood of anything happening like it has for the last, 30, 40, 50 years is absolutely zero. I mention it because it's out there. It's a news story. I would love for it to happen, but what do I think? I think they're just doing stuff because they have nothing better to do. I believe summer, since it starts in March, my brain hurts. My brain hurts too, but I think it's this flu I have. Yeah, I think you're right. When we turn the clocks ahead, that will be daylight savings time, which is good. We like that, okay? All right. Unbelievable. The 2028 Democrat hopefuls. Yeah. We're thinking about that already? Come on. And of the big giant list, not one of which stands out, of the 2028 Democrat hopefuls, guess how many out of 20 of them think biology is just a suggestion? Guess how many? 19. Yeah. 19 out of 20 of these idiots think biology is just a suggestion. They're already starting to try to make all these well-known web-footed fouls arranged in a linear fashion, as in get your ducks in a row. That's going to take a lot of work. These are Democrats, after all, and sometimes it seems like they can't agree on the color of the sky without first consulting about what the terminally woke think. Hang on, take a break from the story. More on the time, because that's what's really important. Danny says, I just asked Alexa, it's 9 a.m. here, Jay, and I haven't had my blackout coffee. Not yet. But Alexa says summer is in daylight savings time. Okay, so there you go. She's got the final answer. We'll go with that. Yes, that's my final answer. All right. It doesn't bode very well for these Democrats in any national election, but then, for a lot of Democrats, if reality is over here, then they are miles away over there. Case in point, Axios, hardly a neutral observer, a recent questionnaire asked almost 20 Democrats if it was possible for a man to become a woman. And all but one of them declined to answer. I never thought I'd give Rahm Emanuel any props for anything, but he was the only one out of 20 who said no. Axios questioned top Democrats considered possible 2028 hopefuls on trans issues, found that most didn't want to talk. Kamala Harris, AOC, J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom. Questions whether transgender girls who were born male should participate in girls' sports, whether transgender youths under 18 should be allowed to be placed on puberty blockers and hormones, and the question, can a man become a woman? Only one who answered was Mayor Rahm Emanuel, the definitive answer. And he said his responses were unchanged from an interview he did last year. He said a man cannot become a woman, and biological boys should not play in girls' sports. Full stop. These are your top alleged contenders for president in 2028. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? These idiots. Oh, yeah. Here's a nice one. You remember this guy? Let me show you his disgusting picture. Such an absolute idiot. There you go. I'm the captain now. I told you, right? The average intelligence IQ level for Somalis is 68. Yeah. This failed Minneapolis mayoral hopeful, who calls himself Omar Fattah, declares a Somali area in Minneapolis a no-go zone for white supremacists. In this episode of Just When You Think It Can't Get Any More Insane in Minneapolis, this smiley chap, Minnesota Democrat State Senator Omar Fattah, failed erstwhile mayoral candidate, out of control Democrat-run city that continues to be rocked by ICE rioters. Democrat women, paid agitators of Somali residents, and other various ne'er-do-wells. Anyway, he apparently decided it would be an awesome idea to publicly declare Minneapolis, Somali-populated Cedar Riverside, that neighborhood there, aka Little Mogadishu, a no-go zone for white supremacists. There's really just one problem here. Actually, there's a whole bunch of problems, but we'll get to those. So Fateh, along with a couple of his pals, fired up on X Saturday, posted an image of three amigos, Somalis, standing in front of the Cedar Rapids Towers, the Cedar Riverside Towers, with the caption, "Cedar Strong. White supremacists aren't welcome here. We protect our own." And when pressed by journalist David Marcus, who wrote, "You don't decide who is and isn't welcome anywhere. We don't allow no-go zones," this Fateh moron doubles down. He writes, "This is a no-go zone for white supremacists." Yeah, Omar, that's going to be a huge problem. Hang on. I'll show you the actual post. There you go. This is the actual X post from this moron. "We protect our own." Moron. Far be it from me to nitpick Omar, but here's the thing. Declaring any public neighborhood a no-go zone for law-abiding citizens ain't gonna fly, sorry, constitutionally. Much less with the Trump administration. And neither the government nor some random radicalized failed mayoral candidate gets to decide which lawful citizens can enter a public neighborhood and which ones can't. And Omar, well, that we take care of our own is not only laughable, but frightening and completely incompatible with the laws of this country. Americans have a right to travel and move freely, all within their own country. Full stop. Interesting, though, isn't it? If Fateh drops a ridiculous race card that could not possibly be any more ironic. The supremacists here. Omar, you and your pals, melanin content notwithstanding. Here's more. No-go zone, a term populated in Europe that refers to Muslim-majority neighborhoods where it's not safe for white people to go. The term no-go zone, commonly used to describe migrant or Muslim-majority districts where police rarely enter and outsiders are effectively discouraged from going. Paris, Malmo, Cologne, parts of Brussels, all faced accusations of operating as de facto no-go zones. So yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Hang on for a minute. You don't suppose Fateh thinks his ridiculous declaration is going to get any further inflammation from the Somali community, do you? Along with the previous mentioned protesters. Don't suppose it might lead to some future violence, do you? In the hopes that goading ICE into more and deeper and more dangerous confrontations. Nah, I'm probably just overthinking here. He seems to be such a pleasant fellow, doesn't he? Yeah. Exactly the kind of guy you'd want your daughter to date. Yeah. There you go. Freaking idiot. Oh, my. All right. Let's do one more here, and then we're going to close it out because my health has gone downhill in a hurry. And this is the coolest story. I love this. 100 years of a veteran's creation for his son, Winnie the Pooh and World War I. Today is Winnie the Pooh Day, the anniversary of the birth of Pooh author A.A. Milne. A lot of people now associate the stuffed, honey-loving bear with Disney, but that character was born out of World War I and a veteran's struggle to recover from the war and relate to his little son. Now, what does Winnie the Pooh pop balloon failed infusion into a beehive have to do with one of the most devastating battles of the war, World War I? How did a teddy bear help a traumatized veteran heal emotionally and psychologically while creating a very special bond with his son? Alan Alexander Milne joined the British military at the outbreak of the First World War, and in 1915 was commissioned an officer in the 4th Battalion of the Royal Warwickshire Regiment with the Royal Corps of Signals, according to militarycom.com. And in just one August 1915 incident, when his commanders ignored Milne's warning of enemy movements, 60 British men died in a brief clash. Now, ultimately, Milne went to fight on in the Battle of Somme, which he accurately described as hell on earth. Interesting that Somme influenced the creation of both Middle-earth by J.R.R. Tolkien and Winnie the Pooh, as the two British soldiers tried to cope with the horror through writing fiction. Good one, Danny. The first day of the Battle of Somme was bloody to the point of nightmare. Britannica states the offensive cost over 1 million lives, 420,000 for the British alone. For context, British casualties for all of World War II were about 450,000. Man. Milne himself was wounded in that battle. So that's the backdrop of A.A. Milne post-war. He had a wife, Daphne, new civilian life, but still dealing of what now we call PTSD. Then in August of 1920, Daphne gave birth to Christopher Robin, and Milne became a doting, absorbing father, connected with his little boy, invented marvelous stories about his child's stuffed animals. And Winnie the Pooh, though, wasn't just a stuffed animal. At the London Zoo, Milne and Christopher Robin found a black bear named Winnipeg, who'd been a mascot to the Canadian Expeditionary Force in World War I. Milne and Winnipeg, both in a sense veterans, both a little shy of strangers, Milne absolutely fell in love with the bear, and so did his son. So in honor of Winnipeg, Milne bought Christopher Robin a yellowish-brown teddy bear. Well, that teddy bear helped Milne explain to his son, Christopher Robin, why he sometimes reacted strangely to ordinary noises. Pop balloons, buzzing bee swarms, they all triggered very scared reactions in Milne, who had flashbacks to bullets, battles, sometimes startling the little boy, his son, Christopher Robin. Milne built these fears into the Pooh stories, helped explain in a childlike way about why a person might find a pop balloon or a bee swarm alarming. Pooh has been in print now for over 100 years. The Pooh stories, their cast of characters, Piglet, Eeyore, the donkey, Rabbit, Tigger the tiger, Owl, Kanga, and Roo, charming tales for little children, have been immortalized and passed on to new generations through Disney movies. And they were certainly funny bedtime stories from a loving father to his son. But they also represent the path that a World War I veteran, A.A. Milne, took to healing and to peace, all through the stories of Winnie the Pooh. I'm just a little black rain cloud. I used to read those stories to my partner of years ago, one chapter at a time, and I did all the voices for all the characters. It was such fun. I remember that so clearly. It was very cool. All right. We're going to end things a little bit early so I can get some sleep, take a little nap, get some recovery, suck down some more Panadol. Anyway, I'm going to get better. I promise by tomorrow I will be better. Please join our Patreon. Only $5 a month. It's like a cup of coffee. Really helps the show. Hit up our sponsors, Patriot Mobile, Blackout Coffee, and thanks for popping by. I appreciate it. Hit the follow button. We will be putting the recorded version of our show up on X and YouTube in just a little bit. And, of course, our podcast on Spotify, Apple iTunes, and all the other platforms. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you all again tomorrow.